Hey everybody, there are bumper stickers out there that say it's a Jeep thing you wouldn't understand. Well, I think I understand. Very capable vehicle with a long history, strong community, strong aftermarket and modding support. I mean, what is there to not really understand? LEGO here has made a Jeep Wrangler late model version in Technic form in a compact form factor, not too expensive, not too big, doesn't take too long to put together, and I'm pretty happy with it. So let's take a closer look. This one's rendered in an overall similar scale to the orange Corvette and the more recent blue McLaren. So there's a completely random minifigure for the sake of scale. It's not tremendously huge, but it's not tiny either. I'm pretty satisfied with the volume of Technic goodness that you get here. This is a modern design, so it is fully or mostly covered up with panels and using lift arms as well, where panels won't fit. And there are a lot of pins and axles in funky colors that you don't necessarily want to see that are visible from the outside. I think in a case like this, you just kind of have to look past that. Fortunately, this being a rugged off-road style of vehicle, and fortunately with Jeeps so frequently being modded and such, it doesn't feel that off to me. Typically, I personally do tend to get a little bit caught up on that stuff, like seeing all the bits of blue and the red in here, but with this one, this actually kind of works out for me. The overall shape of it, I think, is pretty good. I think the top looks a little bit too chopped, but I think the general proportions are pretty good. And the fact that it has working suspension with some pretty decent articulation is nice. Yes, that is very nice. So there's no spring suspension in the front, but this axle is just able to swing back and forth. At the rear is where they have the actual spring suspension. And it has both compression and droop, which is a nice little trick that they did. So not only are you lifting from one side, but the other side can fall down at the same time where it's pivoting out. So it's got some variability there, but you're not able to compress the entire axle together, and that goes for the front and the rear. This does have the remote steering. Remote steering here is done from back in the bed area, and the turning radius is not great. It's one of the steering systems that's limited by the gaps between Technic lift arms, so parts are basically doing like that as they go back and forth. But it's not too bad. These Chevron style tires are awesome. I love them. I love them maybe a little bit too much. They're not soft though. Unfortunately, they're rather hard. You can squish them, they're semi-pneumatic, but those treads themselves, they're not going anywhere. So you're not going to see some sidewall deformation when you do your mall crawl little desktop display of your flexibility there. You got the winch in the front, so that's actually able to let some line out, and it's nice and compact. I like how that was done. It's actually quite good. And there's an engine compartment, though there's no engine. Boo. It's okay. Much better to have suspension and steering, especially in a size like this, than to have an engine. Would have been nice to get a little bit more detail in there, but I do really appreciate being able to open up the hood and having that being fairly complete. There are very few LEGO system parts used in this set. So you see right there, that's a tile. You got a couple pieces used up front. Now this is interesting. The grill pieces, the iconic, trademarked, copyrighted grill pieces, those are all prints. It's two different types of pieces that were made with that print on them, and it's nice. I really appreciate that. The rest of the decorations are done with stickers, but that's a pretty important bit, and I'm glad that they did put the extra expense into that. You have doors that can open. Doors open, mate. You can adjust the angle of your steering column right there. There's a wide dash sticker in there as well. Goes the full width for a little extra detail. There are seats. Seats have stickers on them to give them just a little bit of the proper branding. And, you get the side view mirrors. Does that count as a thing? Full spare wheel and tire on the back. Nice fenders. And that's about it. Just overall, this is it's like a technical toy. It's like a mechanical toy. It feels about right to me. I love the color scheme overall, you know, with the black and the yellow, it just stands out very nicely. Feels toyish, but it feels like a toy of a full-size toy, if you know what I mean. That's a Jeep thing you wouldn't understand. No, I'm kidding. Oh yeah, these are also system pieces back here for the tails. They got the bumpers, front and rear. Looking at it from the underside, kind of looks like it wanted at some point to be powered, but at some point they just gave up on that. I don't know. I might be completely mistaken on that, but there are probably some options for adding some power to this for folks who want to get into customizing it. But I mean, overall, the build is not that complex. It's fairly compact, but I didn't find any of the steps to be particularly difficult or frustrating or anything. So this is definitely not one of those major projects that you need to sit down and put some real psychological effort into to get through. This is just a nice toy that, you know, is a cut above just a simple brick-based or even Technic-based display model, and the fact that it has the working suspension, which is a nice thing, even just to get the single pose out of it. And yeah, I think it's just presented pretty well. Those are the few leftover spare parts, and then this is what the sticker sheet looked like. So in spite of the whole row of printed pieces, there were still quite a few stickers used in this set. Fortunately, in my opinion at least, most of these do not need to be used. If you hate stickers, just put the Rubicon ones on the front fenders or the sides of the hood and call it done. I bought this for the retail price of $50 US, and for over 650 pieces in a Technic set, I think that's pretty good, at least on paper, in terms of, you know, price to part ratio. Again, for a Technic set, of course, as usual, many of those pieces are pins and short axles and some bushings and such. You know, they don't have as much value as like larger panel pieces and tires and everything. But I feel like the value is pretty respectable for this amount of stuff, for how finished it is and the features that it does have. Honestly, I don't know if I could have asked for much more in terms of features in this. If I had unlimited wishes in life, I would definitely say, hey, give me more engine detail. You know, it would always be a good thing. I don't know if there's enough room to get like a working engine, but still you could put more in there. It would be possible. And again, unlimited wishes, I probably would have asked for a little bit more suspension action there, because this does work really well, what is here. But I would prefer softer suspension at the rear, just a little bit, and then some actual springs at the front also. And then I guess the greenhouse could have been a little bit taller, just to make the proportions a little bit more realistic, a little bit more exact. I don't even know if it needs a full modulus of height there to correct it, because, you know, in the picture shown on the back of the box, it clearly shows that, you know, the Jeep has less of a low brow look than this. Even the most current version, which actually has a taller brow, especially when viewed from the side, than some previous models. Yeah, mostly just little nitpicks, and I would always love to see these things done with fewer anything that uses Technic, I would love to see done with fewer blue and red and yellow pieces where they don't belong, or where I don't want to see that. But this, as a Technic creation and not as a scale model, I think works out just fine. Pretty happy with this. It's as good as it looks in the pictures, at the very least. Just feels good to own it. So there you go. I do have build videos for this, real time, and also speed build forums, so you can check out one of those if you're interested in seeing more of how this actually went together. I did make a couple mistakes along the way, but I guess I was kind of multitasking, at least in my mind, but corrected them on screen, and it goes by relatively quickly if you look at the time-lapse version especially. So check out one of those if you want to, and I'll talk to you again soon.